Okay. Hey everybody. Hey, sorry for lateness here. Um Got sidetracked on an errand and went about 15 minutes late, but I'm glad we're here now. The great sunset. We made it. Folks are joining. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm gonna get the agenda pulled up here. All right, are folks can hear me?
Hear you
Oh,
fine.
okay. That's great. Good evening, Miss Call. How are you?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I picked up I had to buy
Did I
a
miss the roll call?
Oh, we're not doing roll call. We didn't do that yet. Nope, we're just
Oh,
getting
okay.
started.
I
But
was like, I was sitting in queue and I was like, then I popped in out of all of a sudden.
yeah, I'm taking over. Karen Lee is not providing the support. We're not requiring her to kind of sit through these meetings anymore. So it's just me logging into the ANC 1B email. But yeah, I went to pick up like a bike trainer. And luckily, that I was able to kind of put it on the bike share basket and bike home with it, which was a little bit dangerous. I made it through Georgia Avenue with like one hand on the thing driving the bike, but we made it back in one piece. So that's what matters. That's what
I
counts.
do I do have to inform you, Stephen, that I have a hard stop. I have another meeting that starts at 9 o'clock
Let's get going
tonight.
then. Let's get going then. All right, let's do it. I'm hearing let's do a roll call then. Commissioner Stephen Hanrahan, that's me, present. Frank Chauvin, looks like
Present.
he's Karen Gall.
Present.
Eileen Johnson, she said she could not make it this evening. Bob
Present.
Collum, sorry. Alex Smith,
Present.
Stephen Ruckers,
Present.
Rachel Scheckman.
Present.
Kate Klein said she couldn't make it. Eric Olson, doesn't seem like they're here. The quorum of one, two, three, four, five, six. Six members. Meeting starts now. The time is 7:25. Okay. Rachel, your hand's raised.
Can I make a suggestion since Miss Gall has to leave early that we move her streetery conversation up and also the conversation about the streetery that's um under review?
Um, so that is in the new business section. Um,
I understand that, but if the person who is drafting the actual language for it is going to not be here by the time we get to that time period, it would be good to move it up maybe.
um, we
It's
could we
really
could
up to you if you guys want to. I mean, Rachel, I apologize that I didn't get to respond to your suggestions either. So please forgive me on that.
All good.
I think we definitely can move up the streetery language. I think I'm not I think I kind of would maybe like to see how we go through it and come to the new business section when we come to those. Uh yeah, I think, Ms. Call said 9. It's like 7:25, so we still have some time. Um and I think we could probably try and get get these items done and move on to the street section by that point. But I think, yeah, Ms. Call does have a specific item regarding the street language that would inform the street endorsement we're reviewing, but I don't see that as being directly, you know. reviewing it first. So, um, yeah. Frank, your hand is raised.
Yes, I would like, I'm sorry, I'm on to the next topic. So if you want to finish this, I just wanted to add two items to the agenda just for placeholding.
Okay, yeah, let me finish this. So I appreciate the suggestion, Rachel. I'm gonna move the streaming language number 6. Someone move that up to number 2. Um, and then we'll keep the new business as it is. How does that sound? Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
That sounds excellent on my part too. And
Amazing.
Alex said he has a hard stop at 8:30.
Great. Let's honestly let's all have a hard stop at 8:30. That sounds good. Okay. Any other pre meeting items? Frank, do you have another
Yeah,
suggestion for the
Yeah, I'd like to add without objection two items. One, the street fight happened in the 1900 block of 9th Street. I'd like a quick discussion on that and new
street fight?
business. Yeah, I just emailed a neighbor who had found an Instagram piece for conduct occurring two doors outside of his house this past weekend. A street fight, 1900 block of 9th Street. And I'd like to add that for a quick discussion. And then secondly, I'd like to add I have a neighbor here who folks are familiar with, Zoe Liu, who would like to just raise a point regarding property values in the matter of protests and appropriateness standards. So there's the set two items I'd like to add to the agenda, if you would. Thanks.
Okay, I've just added them. Uh, property values. Miss Lou. Okay. I do feel like initially say like a street fight, that sounds more catered for the public safety meeting, but I'm happy to we could briefly touch on it depending on
Well, it's not at all, Stephen. It has to do with overconcentration and the lack of management of a nightlife district. And it's been going on for decades. And we're at a saturation point established in the moratorium. And the city's not stepping up. They don't manage what's going on. And the ABCA board's not listening to the community, not listening to the ANC regarding overconcentration. I mean,
Mhm.
it's ridiculous, and we're putting up with this on the shoulders of my neighbors. And so, anyway, we'll defer to the agenda item at that point. Thank you.
Okay. All right. That sounds all right. We will. That sounds good. Um, okay. So, what do we have first of all? First of all, I had said committee procedures, ANC
Thanks. I'm going
resolution.
to ask you guys to hold this as your issue, though it's both of our issues.
Frank, I'm going to mute you. Um, uh, committee procedures, ANC resolution, we ABCR kind of guide. So I don't know if you guys got a chance to kind of look at this, but we want to kind of make a update our SOPs and kind of make like a guide on what the ABCUR process is as we know it, definitions, mostly making sure that, if it's me next year or someone else or whoever's doing this, um, kind of, I think we've done a lot of work this year. We've really learned a lot, and I think we want to try and just write it down. And so, an opportunity to do so. The additional resolution is linked here. I think our chair Duramo,
See,
wanted
it was dead. That link was dead inside of the email that you sent because I clicked
really.
on it and it didn't. It wasn't an active link to neither document.
That's not good. Let me see. What about if I put in the chat here?
David, I'm wondering if we could table it and see it next week or next time instead, since we haven't had the opportunity to review it.
Okay, well, technically it was passed at our like February meeting. Was it passed in our February meeting?
Yes, it was on your February agenda.
Yeah, so it was our pass. So this
Page
is this
30.
is
It was
kind of
on page
almost
35 or 36 or something like.
yeah, it was old. This is almost old business by this point. Um, okay, where do we keep these things on the website? The website is like honestly needs its own resolution. Okay. Yeah, it was okay. Here we go. Yeah, it's the resolution is titled 202606. It's on our resolution page. Have it here. Resolution page is here.
And
Um,
what is our duty here? If it's passed, it's passed. What are we being asked to do here?
It's still
uh,
requiring a sign in, Stephen. It's still not opening to the public. It's still
that first
requiring
link.
a sign.
Try the second link. Try the second link, Miss Gall, and then try to do 2 6, and then look for 26 resolutions. Then go through 26-06. Sorry for all the
Okay.
sign-ins.
Okay. Thank you. I apologize.
No worries. What is it asking us to do? It's asking us to propose modifications or additions to the standard operating procedures. Let me see if I can share my screen. Mm. Propose um, modifications or additions to the standard operating procedures, text for publication on the Commission's website, a definition of terms, update template for settlement agreements, outline the process for renew and new licenses, outline the process of processing licenses, communicate in advance, really a lot of stuff here. So I also think Miguel, Chair Dramo, said June meeting. Realistically, I do think our goal is to really have something, a draft by maybe September with the goal of like December we're done. Um, I don't think we'll be ready by June. But because we haven't, the link wasn't working, let's table this. We can table this for the next meeting. And I'll just try to make sure you guys can get a copy of this so you can look it over. There was some discussion about maybe having like a task force to kind of talk about some of this stuff, but I think we have the committee, we have the space, we're not getting too much renewals like we did last year. So I think it's something to tackle, and it overlaps with some of the other things we're talking about with like streeteries and stuff. So let's move to like a further discussion for next week, but we can next week, next month. But I'll make sure you guys get the link to look it over. Does that sound okay?
Well, it's also posted on the website. That was just posted on the website, right? That's on the website, or is it going to be updated again?
It's on the website. Yeah, it's not going to be updated again.
Okay.
But your plan sounds good. Thanks.
Great. Okay, great. Write that down.
I do need to know specifically, is there any action items associated with this that you want the committee to process? You just want us to review it, or what is it that you want us to do, Chair?
Um, yeah, if we could kind of come back next meeting, with maybe, we're kind of already doing this with like streetery language and other stuff, but kind of coming back to next meeting to talk about, I think, maybe like one, um, uh, one thing we know about the ABCR process, and one thing we could maybe think that as an ANC we could do better on. And we also kind of had like this discussion where we were talking about the testimony and things like that, and we got a lot of good feedback. But maybe if we could just kind of review it and then think about like one thing we learned, and one thing we wish we could kind of improve on regarding, anything with like settlement agreements or just kind of the review process or roll calls if anyone's involved with those, um, protesting, uh, etc.
Are you gathering the information that we've done throughout the term so far, or you just want us to come up again with additional updates? Because I know during the time period that we have been meeting, we did have suggestions to have a calendar sent to us so that we can
Yeah.
be prepared to participate in the roll call process. And I know
Yeah.
it's yet to happen, and I don't know if that matriculated onto this resolution that you just presented to us. And have you collected all of the ideas that we've expressed in the meeting and added that to this document? Or is this something that just was?
Yeah, so the document is more like just kind of giving us the green light to come up with it, and then what we're going to come up with is that document. So I've got some notes, we've got the meeting minutes, and we've gotten all our ideas, but just the ask is just to come ready to just discuss them as we have been, but just to kind of come ready to discuss them.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate. It's that's nice to know what the instructions are. That once we look at the link that you provided, and you're going to resend it via email, just to
Sure.
along
Yeah.
with those instructions, right?
Sure. Yeah. I'll do that too.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Great. Great. Okay. All right. Next item is the streeter language. That Ms. Gall drafted, and so um and Ms. Gall, I apologize for sending out the wrong, attaching the wrong
That's quite okay. It was just the you what you did was you sent the reference document, which but it's nice to have both of them actually. The reference document was it's that larger document, but the draft language was the one pager that I sent to everyone that I was expecting you to share with the committee, and that's what Rachel she did a quite a bit of assessment work on
mhm,
that.
mhm, mhm.
And I don't know if you had an opportunity to do so too, Chair.
Oh, this is much, yeah, this is great. So I'm just kind of looking at it now. Let me see if I could bring it up with the larger group here. Um,
Yeah, I have a question. Is this for Stephen just settlement agreement purposes? I mean, I think we have to refine what we're trying to do here. And if we're just looking for settlement agreement terms, that's different than trying to give, feedback on a pending regulation or pending legislation. And so I think we need to refine what we're trying to do here.
yeah, so thank you for that. So the goal really is to try and come up really with like basically a paragraph that we could just add to our settlement agreement template for um, when looking at streeteries or things we want to work into streeteries. Um, so um, yeah, so
Stephen, I don't know if you kept my comments or not in the email, but and Miss Gall, this was great, and so was the Vigra reference document. It was actually super helpful to see all like the structural standards and stuff laid out, and the work that went in by like you to pull that together is really appreciated. My biggest thought with this is because we want to keep things more condensed. Instead of having a separate settlement agreement that goes with the streeteries, and especially because we don't have settlement agreements with everybody, is that we pull some of these things into the actual main settlement agreement as a separate settlement agreement for entities that have a streetery. And so, like, some of the specific suggestions regarding streeteries and like cleanliness go in the pre-existing cleanliness language with specifications around the streeteries, etc. And
I'm in
I,
agreement with you on that,
yeah,
Rachel. I'm in 100% agreement. I just thought because this is a new avenue that we were going through that we should at least have some outline spelled out as to what would actually work and also have teeth
yeah.
for the ANC to proceed to ensure that we have some
Mhm.
enforcement measures in place.
It's great seeing it all in one place.
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, and thank you, also Ms. Gall. I think this is like such a more condensed um, version than uh, this is a real condensed version. Yeah, so I do think, and I think so, just kind of, I guess, looking at this like immediately, I think there's a couple of things that are just like, the structural standards, I think is a little bit, that's more on uh the the kind of like the D dot
D
or like
dot.
Yes, it's all D dot. That's specifically D dot. And the thing is just some of that stuff may not be necessarily because D dot already applies that. It was just more so that it's clear in the language of the settlement agreement that we are acting along with D dot in regards to that. If everything that we have in the settlement agreement, do we bring any of DDOT's language into our settlement agreements? I think I had a list of questions that I was asking, and so because
Mhm.
of that, I don't think that it should be redundant. I agree with you on that. If we've already have that incorporated into the settlement agreements, if we don't, and because the streetery standards are new, I think that it would probably be best if we have that in there just in case there is a situation where something is not being adhered to.
Hmm.
Stephen, I forwarded you my email that I sent. If you had reviewed it, you would see that there's suggestions on how to condense these in, including like the hours of operation, noise and lighting, structural standards, compliance and enforcement, and how they would fit into the greater existing settlement agreements.
Can we
So that
pour?
Yes.
you're not
Can we pour?
stressing about all of that. There is a way that it fits.
Yeah, and that's exactly that's what I was expecting from you, Rachel, because I knew you would be able to condense it down. Is it possible to pull up Rachel's suggestions or just paste it into a
I,
document so it's
yeah.
yeah,
Sorry to
so
interrupt.
that we can see that?
Okay. One second. Um, what do I do with that now?
It's in your mailbox at the top.
Yeah, I'm just hesitant to share all of my inbox.
Oh,
Um,
you want me to just paste the language
on screen.
into the chat?
Un momento, I have found it. I would say it is PDF.
I
Let's bring
think
it
that
up.
would be great, Rachel, because that way everyone okay, there you go.
Here it
Never mind.
is. Here it is. Okay, this is really good. So this is, I guess, Rachel's amended version of what Ms. Gall had put out there. Um, One thing I do like, Miss Gall. Oh, I lost the original one. Or here it is. One thing I kind of like the wind down, like, hey, no new seating after between 30 minutes before closing. I think that's like a pretty good rule. Um, um, I like boiling this down to must follow the standards required by streeteries. Streeters are also, by the way, I think it's spelled
Yeah.
street with an E in it.
My autocorrect was not catching it. So
Look, you should have seen the way I kept spelling it. And so
I did my best.
it has a Y on it, right? Or am I incorrect?
I think it's an A. I think it's
All right.
Streat.
Yeah.
Um,
On eating and street.
mhm,
Yes.
right. I like this, those streeters.
It's yeah, Streatery,
Hmm.
or IES.
Sound containment. Yeah, I think this is really good. So I think what Rachel put here is in a better place. Is in booking it. We're getting closer um to it.
Yeah, she duplicated what we had, but what I wanted was the language where must follow DDOT standards. That way we can eliminate that section for the
Yeah.
structural standards. That's what I think was great. And that's what I expected. Did did anyone else have an opportunity to review the document and your suggestions are welcome, of course.
Yeah, did anyone else get a chance to review the document? Um
I support the hours of operation section with some refinements and the noise and lighting with some refinements and item number three. And the other things I think are extraneous. Like I don't think it's good to start eliciting, or I'm sorry, illustrating violation assessments because that's so convoluted in the code already and how they apply it and what they apply. That's sort of back end stuff. And yes, we have a lot to do as a community and as a committee on violations and the process or the lack thereof. But I don't think we start enumerating special processes for this. It doesn't make sense to repeat that. But I think sections 1 and 2 and the item number 3 here before us are a good start.
Okay.
Well, the
Um,
reason why I had tiered the violations is because we are always in this particular quagmire of not having any enforcement teeth in our settlement agreements, and that's the whole point of an actual settlement agreement. And it's just like we just have a piece of paper that's archiving on a shelf and not doing anything, and then we end up with circumstances that we commonly have discussed here in these meetings.
mhm. Um, I think this is good feedback. What don't we say, you know, we could, maybe we could keep working on this on email, and then the next meeting we could boil in, we could, the item, what we want to change to the settlement template. And I could also share the settlement template so we have that too, so we know, so we don't do any overlap.
Let's look at Rachel's suggestions, and my main suggestion is just like Rachel did. If everyone can put their thoughts, document their thoughts. That
Okay.
way we can see everything all together. And if you can share, I think if you could start like a Google Doc, so that everyone can just share all at once under what it is that they think would be ideal. And then also Alex has his hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that sounds good. Alex, your hand is raised, and I know
Yeah,
you're leaving soon.
just thank you to Ms. Gall for working on this and Rachel for the comments. This I think looks really good. Um, I especially like sections 1, and I agree with the comments around consolidating 3 with Rachel's comment around just referencing the DDoT standards, especially because those standards might change over time. Um, I did have a question around like the security staffing bullet, just because I'm thinking like depending on the type of establishment, if it's like a cafe or a restaurant, it might less need security than something that's more going for um, late night bar vibes. Um, and I
That's a
could
good
see
point.
both types of establishments kind of going for streetery. So just food for thought as we continue to finalize it.
You know what, Alex, what my thoughts were is because we are trying to make sure that everyone has a mirrored agreement, because we want everyone on the same page. If we start to, if it's a transferred license or it goes somewhere else, and you know how the settlement agreements transfer from place to place when the owner closes that location and it sticks to that particular location. If it's not in the settlement agreement, it may be a little difficult to sort of integrate it again. What do you think?
I see what you're saying. That makes sense. I feel like I just want to think about it maybe a little more then, just because if I'm like a coffee
Certainly.
shop, it may be really expensive to hire a security guard if I'm not really throwing a party. People might be
Right.
having.
But it's also it becomes non-applicable based on, as you mentioned, based on the based on the theme of the establishment um, at that particular time. But I think that in those cases, I think we may put in a line item that says when it is applicable. Maybe we can find some type of workaround on that. Matt, what do you think?
I like that idea of, yeah, some type of workaround like that, like a caveat.
Right, because I think when it's applicable to an establishment that requires security, then we then these are the security standards.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
Hmm. Um, okay, so I'm hearing we're gonna kind of keep working on this, put a little more thought into it, boil some
Stephen?
things down. Yep, I'm gonna give you the final say on this,
No, there's
Rachel.
a Q&A from a resident asking, kind of curious, what is the reasoning behind limiting televisions
That's
in the
D dot, I believe.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where we're seeing the televisions.
Is it the fading? I think it's the shine of the looms of the televisions or something. I think that was a D dot. Uh, the projection of the television. It had something to do with it. I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. It's been a minute since we've done this.
Okay. Okay.
But
Yeah.
that okay, or is it ADA? I mean, no, that's not. I mean, I'm thinking ADA, like AV. No, it's not audio visual. I think it has something to do with the looms. The brightness of it.
Could distract drivers or something like that.
Right. I do believe that has something to do with, I guess trying not to make it look like Times Square.
Hmm.
T- okay, prohibited equipment, TVs, video screens, monitors, indoor projections, and generators prohibited at all times. That's a D dot. That's D
Okay.
dot 4.8. Okay, what I did was I made sure that I did highlight exactly where this falls under. That's under one of D dot's provisions.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. All right. I hear you. That sounds good. I think we answered that.
There was another question. Oh, that's a different question regarding SOAST and the question and answer.
Yes. Do you see that as well? So that reminds us, we want to just probably just keep moving along here. So I think this has been a great discussion. Gene does have their hand raised. Maybe we'll call on them, but it sounds like maybe we'll kind of return back to this. We'll kind of try to boil this down a little bit more, share out some more things we could comment on, like a Google Doc or a Word on email, Word doc on email, and kind of and I can share the existing settlement templates. We can kind of see what's overlapping, and then hopefully by next meeting we can try and boil it down to something that we could
Yeah.
either like vote on or something like that. That sounds good.
I think that sounds great. I'm certainly and then also I definitely want people to take a look at the reference doc because the reference doc is a good read if you're interested in more information. It's really, really helpful. I mean, I'm talking about the committee members, not for the public, but just for the committee.
Yes. Uh, Gene, promoted you to speak here.
Yeah, hi. Um, I have a question about you've taken the document down, but the responsible party must be on premises at all times, have the MPD supervisor's phone number. That's very vague, and I can see a lot of issues with that. So if you're going to keep that, that needs to be spelled out a lot better. Somebody with an ABC license, manager's license or whatever. Responsible party, what does that mean?
Hmm.
Um, Also, the standard for security is one security person for every 35 people. I agree with the person earlier who was talking that, these are restaurants. There's no nightclubs that have a street area that I'm aware of. And do we know, are there any street areas in ANC 1B that have more than 20 seats? I just think it's kind of arbitrary. And, again, this is cost those people that are putting up a streetery, it's costing them a lot of money. They're not doing this arbitrarily. They're giving it a lot of thought about their business plan and what it means, and their restaurants. So, treating them like they're nightclubs is just incredibly business unfriendly. Um, and I think we need to think about that because we're losing our businesses. That's all. Thanks.
The responsible party is the actual business owner. I thought, I mean, I didn't,
No
I'm
business
assuming,
owner, Karen, no business owner is there all the time. That's
well,
that's
the,
that's
the responsible
really
party,
unreasonable.
the
That's
responsible
Okay.
unreasonable.
party, let me just be clear when I'm trying to complete my thought. The responsible party would be the person who is, when it comes to the security plans, they have, it may not be the business owner, but it's whomever the security manager is when you have your public safety plans for your business. And they are required to be on site.
Restaurants
So,
don't have, for the most part, don't have security plans. Not everybody is required to have one if they don't have entertainment and things.
and
It's
we were just discussing
or
that, Gene.
if you're trying to get the extra hours for holidays and stuff, then you have to have a security plan. These are restaurants.
But
I
No.
just
we were
it's
just
I
really
do think
discussing.
we
frustrating,
have.
Karen.
Hold on. Okay. This is yeah. This these are great comments, Gene. I do think in our settlement agreement template we do reference
Right.
having someone be, if I think there's the language might be that if they require one, as in if they have an entertainment or tavern license, if they require one, that they have one and they're posted and that person's like phone number is made available if they need to be. So I do think we should maybe check the language there on that one, but I think we've spent a lot of time on this. This has been great, great discussion. But I want to
But
keep
just
moving
with where I
moving
was
us
going with
forward
Stephen,
that,
here.
just a
Stephen.
quick, I have a quick question with respect to a clarification here. This is a very important matter regarding security, and I don't want folks to be confused because
Exactly.
it makes me enormously upset because a security agreement is only required when a new licensee is coming on board for a nightclub. That's the only code requirement for security. All right. And there might be some multi-purpose things that are required too. But nightclubs, in our realm, we only have a few multi-purpose entities. So just putting the multi-purpose aside, the only time a security agreement is required upon the start of a licensee conducting their business is nightclub. All right. That's by definition. And unfortunately, we have some bad actors or some bad neighbors that are taverns, okay, that don't have security agreements until they mess up 10 times and the board finally gets involved and makes them have a security agreement. So I just wanted to clarify that scenario to bring some sense and understanding because it's very important to understand what is and isn't required here for security.
Now,
So
let me be clear with this language that I wrote, and as Alex brought forward earlier, and I just want to be very clear where it's applicable, and this is where we said we were going to look at retooling the language, and we are going to look at the template that Stephen. This is a draft. It's
Right.
just so we're 1,000% clear, and this is a working document that we all as a committee have a chance to weigh in on. I just drafted the outlining language so that we can have that in place. So it'll be condensed and added to our settlement agreements. Now, when it comes to the specifics, we have a lawyer for ANC 1B that will also go through this. So it's not going to be something where it's going to be something that will be adverse to ANC 1B. So just so that that's real clear, I just wanted to make sure that we are making sure that we're utilizing all of our resources. So committee members have a chance to weigh in just like Rachel did and just like I did and Stephen did and Alex gave some great points and Frank, you gave some great points too. So each one of us has a chance to weigh in on this document. Thank you.
Yeah, great. I think that's a final comment there. That's a great way to end. And yep, we all have final chance to weigh in, and the lawyer too. So thank you. Thank you for doing this great legwork, Ms. Gall, and we'll continue to work on it next month. Moving along, we have the APCA board representation. So this was just something I kind of came across in kind of our discussion a little bit about the APCA board that there isn't someone there who is representative of Ward 1 um, or Ward 2, which are the most densest wards with establishments. So I think this could be an opportunity for our committee and ANC to kind of weigh in on that, potentially draft resolution. Um, there's not like a pressing timeline for this, but I think this could be something that we could do this year that could be really good and really helpful, especially as we look towards a new mayoral administration next year and other things as well. So I think that's a big thing. Frank, do you have a hand raised because of this item or something that we passed prior because we need to keep moving along?
Well, all three, okay. First, that's my neighbor here. Can we just let him know that he'll be on a new business, Holden Schmidt, who's
Okay.
asked the question, will we be putting him on in the question and answer, a question for new business so he
All right.
knows,
Oh,
like,
hold on, Holden. We'll come to you.
and then my question or my statement regarding the appointee. I think I made this clear last time, so sorry if I'm iterating. But during the oversight hearing for APCA in front of Ward One council member, the question was asked, "Who has the most licenses?" And that's Ward Two has the most licenses in the district. Ward One has the second most, and these were the two missing seats, right? There's two vacant seats on the ABCA committee or ABCA commission, excuse me, ABCA board, and they're both. And so our council member said, "Well, we'll have to see what we can do about filling them, one for Ward One and one for Ward Two." So she made those assertions, and it really comes out from the mayor's office, right? So
Yeah.
do we have great weight in the mayor's office to do this? Is it worth our time, or is it just worth our time to get the word out to neighbors and friends to call Councilmember Nadeau and call the mayor's office that we need a Ward One council or person put on the ABCA committee, right? So I don't know. I take it both ways, but I'm getting more serious about what great weight is and what we should spend our time on versus not. I mean, why should we write a resolution? It's going to go in the stockpile on the website, and there's no great weight there. So,
Mhm.
I have that question, and I'll raise that again as we come on to the great weight section. But thank you for listening to that.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think it could be really important. I don't know if other ANCs are weighing it, but I think it could be even if we have a resolution, it's something we could then keep pushing on to the council person or to the mayor's office. We could send to other ANCs to see if they would be drafting something similar. And I think it's like a really it's a good point for more like ward representation is a huge part of DC government. So I think that's a big issue. So I think there's a lot of merits here. I don't think I think as even you just said, I think we could to what I said, you said, and everyone else said, we could put it into like a document and maybe knock it out. So let me just kind of make a note that let's try to maybe circle back on this have next meeting or let's keep circling around this. I think there's a lot of merits here and it could be good for our commission to do.
Actually, one more point here. I'm wondering, Stephen, if we can get the ANC to get their great weight and FOIA the history of this, because I tried to do it personally as my own interest. I wanted to FOIA the 10-year and 20-year history of the ABCA board because I believe there hasn't been a Ward 1 person on the ABCA board for at least 10 years. And I don't know if it's 20 years, but I think that's an important fact to know. And my FOIA was rejected. My FOIA, I was told by the ABCA FOIA, they sent me over to the mayor's office of appointments. The mayor's
Mm,
office of appointments sent me to the legislative LIMS website. If you know LIMS,
mm,
LIMS.dc.gov, that's where all the
mhm,
legislation is. And there's probably 20 years or 30 or more of history of appointments, right? Because it's a legislative act in the end. But I'm not going to go through 20 years because I want to know how long they served. Right? I'm not going to go through 20 years of legislative history looking for appointments to ABCA boards because when did they resign?
Yeah.
That's not going to tell me. So I'm going to figure out how to come back to this committee or the ANC asking for a FOIA request by the ANC with their great weight because to do business, the ANC has to be able to FOIA and get information to operate. I have less of great weight there, so I will be looking maybe for some help with that FOIA, if you would. Thanks.
Okay. I'm sorry for your lesser weight, Frank, but happy to help out, all equal weight here on this committee. Okay, well, that's an interesting point about the history. I think that could be good too. All right, that sounds good. I think that's interesting too. We can keep going with that. Um, this next one is the ABCR Clean Hands Review. This is Frank's item. So Frank, you kind of put out on email about just verifying the Clean Hands Agreement directly with OTR. This was like related to Rush. Um, I don't know where this kind of, I mean, part of my thoughts here are that the Rush gentleman was kind of a criminal and a fraudster. And he did something that was very fraudulent. I don't think that yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that I don't really know so much in terms of what could that it really exposed so much falling out of ABCA protocols more than normal. And I think we really sent that letter that kind of got at the Rush issue. That was really good. I think we helped illuminate it. But I don't know if it's in our place to really keep following up. It feels like I don't want to kind of berate it. It's kind of seems like
Well, Stephen, I think what this committee did and the ANC sent the letter regarding character, all right, and the matter of the clean hands form, all right, and that was good. I think we did the community benefit, so I'm thankful for what we did here, what you did here, and what the ANC did here. However, there's a back end process that they allow anybody to submit a clean hands form. And where do they get that? That any individual who pays DC taxes can go on to the OTR website and get a clean hands form for themselves. Okay. But they can change it and fax it in. So there's no reason it should have happened this once because that's what they did. Okay. Because there's a process where any agency can call OTR directly and sign into the system and see the clean hands form themselves. So if we're stopping one more fraud by happening because the process is better, is improved, then we're doing our jobs. Okay. And these agencies don't change unless they're forced to change. Okay. Unless light is brought onto their deficiencies. And I think that ABCA let 25 staff members down by allowing for that license fraudulently because they didn't check in directly with OTR and accepted a clean hands form that was amended. So there's my question that it's simple. Show us your clean hands form process, ABCA, because we want to know that you're going to check directly with OTR and not just go off of what somebody is faxing in as their copy of an of a clean hands form. Do you understand? It's a simple call. And it's a simple protocol where they can protect the public that they should adopt. And I think anybody on this call would say there's no reason they shouldn't adopt that. So I'm not pressing for this today. I'm happy to consider. Maybe I'll put together a resolute or a letter to the board asking them for their protocol because I already did through FOIA, which unfortunately I did because I wanted to know what it was and they wouldn't give it to me. So this is APCA. I want to know what's your back end process, APCA, to verify with OTR directly. They didn't give it to me. So for now, I'm happy to table this, but I'm coming back to the table with something more so that they do it right. So they no longer screw 20 employees that were screwed at Rush because they allowed an operator to act against the law.
okay. Thanks, Frank. Um, yeah, let's it's a good point. Let's return to that. Next month, I think, maybe a letter um could be good to send. All right. Next item. The Noise Balance Amendment Act. Rachel, you were working on this. You
Yeah,
sent out to go ahead.
yeah, I sent it for review privately, and it was not meant to be in the agenda. I was looking for input and to clean it up. It is an extremely rough draft form. I'm happy to share it
It
with
looks pretty good.
happy to share it with members of the committee, but I don't feel it's right to show publicly yet until we have something that's a little bit more completed. Just because, as we saw, like people are going to see it, it's recorded, and
True.
I want that feedback from people when it's more done, so it's not causing any like fear to come up if there's something in there that is not going to be in the final draft.
I
Yeah.
agree on that.
And I agree. I agree on that too. And I apologize
Yeah.
for sending that out. And I'm glad
Yeah.
the link didn't work.
Totally. And not that there is anything in there for people to be fearful of, just putting that out there. But I think it's really good practice to be careful about what we're sending out and what we're projecting because there are drafts and it can create fear for these small businesses that are struggling right now. As Jean Hamza has said, like there's a lot of fear about losing businesses, and I don't want people to see something that's in draft format that's gonna, you know,
Hmm.
freak them out.
Definitely. Definitely. Um, Discussion around the Noise Balance Amendment Act. What, is there anything that we could talk about now that could kind of add to help work on this in terms of like where it stands, or like, what are like ways to either like support like ways to make the Noise Balance Amendment Act draft better? What could we do to help this right now? Admittedly, go ahead, Rachel.
So what would be helpful probably for people would be to recirculate the Noise Balance Amendment Act in an email after the call.
Okay.
And I will share that with what I put in the draft, I put recommendations on sound enforcement and on fines, saying what we supported, and then saying what we think is missing. And I use the language from the grievances document
Yeah.
as the basis. And I would be very happy if anyone from this committee would like to weigh in and have access to the document to help move it to a better place so that we can talk about it publicly next meeting.
Okay. That sounds good. Where can we find the where can we find the language for it again?
I think you sent it, but
Did I
uh,
send it? Someone sent it.
Frank sent it at some point, I think.
Okay. Um,
I didn't send it.
No, who sent?
what's this?
Who's on first?
Maybe
Um,
you sent it, Rachel.
I
I
don't.
thought it was all from you, Rachel. It wasn't?
mm, I'm looking.
I know it's been a
Find
while
it.
ago, but I do recall you had did some work on it.
No, I did do work on it, but I think that the original document was sent out a while ago.
I know what you're talking about. We can. I'd send the email somewhere. I'll try to find it and
Hmm.
send it out again. Send it out to folks. That's great. Um, and we share it and so sorry. You said reshare it and then what was the other thing? What was the other parts?
I was asking if anyone from the committee is interested in weighing in on it.
Okay.
You know where I'm going to be concentrating my time at, but I would happily do it if it's outside of that time period of next month. Is
Yeah,
that okay with you, Rachel?
totally. I mean, this thing is in limbo right now, so we have a little bit of time.
Okay, I'll put my name on the list to assist, um, and and just comb through it after we sort of finish with the streetery thing. Is that
Sounds
okay?
perfect.
Okay,
I
thank
also,
you.
I also think I found the Nightlife Noise Balance Amendment Act language, and Frank, you totally did forward it to everybody.
No,
It
I
was from
didn't.
October 31st, 2025.
Oh, you mean the original act? I thought you meant yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
could,
yeah.
the act itself, I sent out back in October.
Yes, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, it's a quick limb search, and we can just post it here in the chat. I'll find it in a sec.
Okay. Great. Alex, your hand is raised.
Yeah, just Rachel, if you're looking for more like thought partners around this, I know one of my neighbors has been very thoughtful around like thinking about um, this act in particular and noise in the city, especially given like some of the limitations that 9.5 Street faces, but also I know it's not just unique to 9.5 Street where there's limited alley access. Um, and so I can ask her if
Great.
to share some of those thoughts, but I think they might be helpful if you were.
Yeah, totally. I asked if it's Suda, I totally have already asked her to weigh in on it.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Okay.
So, if anyone is interested, email me your personal or your email that you use for Google Docs, and I'll add you to the Google Doc access.
Cool. All right. Great.
And
Um,
mine is on record, the one that you have.
Awesome. Your government one.
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Cool. All right. Next one is the 9.5 alley walk. Man, I'm letting this sit for a while. Sending follow-up email regarding alley. We did the alley walk, and Alex mentioned recently like some of the rodent kind of issues are kind of coming back again, so it might be good to kind of follow up on this. And I know we had like someone else from the mayor's off or the mayors of the main streets, Alex Pedro. But just kind of again, like so, if I like, who would be including in this kind of like group here, um, for this alley walk? Oh, and we asked about the fire marshals thing. I don't know if we found out about that. Was that what you gonna ask, Miss Gall?
Well, yeah, because Alex and I initially had started working on it with 11 residents at 9.5 Street, right, Alex? And I want you to sort of chime in with the rights. And the goal was to get the condo at 1936 Ninth Street to remove that back those walls that were blocking the alley. So that's they're creating an egress issue, and so the fire marshal is involved because the fire marshal is supposed to make sure that structure was removed. But I know Alex, everybody, including Mr. Shapiro from the Mokers and everybody else, has come in to partner with you, and I'm thinking that you're still the lead on this, but I never did get those fire marshal tickets from you, the ticket numbers that we started when you and I had gotten together, and a neighbor who had started the entire process that I had asked you to do. So can you give me a little bit more information from starting from when you and I last spoke about it, if that's okay, Alex?
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Miss Call, for your help with it and your help getting us organized. Because I think the situation is now significantly better than in terms of like cleanliness than it was even last year. Um, I will say that the long-standing issue where we keep thinking we're of like access, where sometimes we think, oh, we've got the right folks in the room where we do walkthroughs, seems to continue to linger unresolved. The fire marshal, my neighbor has access to the back, so he was the one who got the fire marshal to come in. Fire marshal promised to provide a ticket number and then never did. And now that neighbor is currently doing construction, so they're no longer at their home right now. Um, and then another idea that has been floated, I know, is going out the other side, adding access out the other side, the south end,
Mhm.
removing that south blockage, which I know at least some neighbors are pretty opposed to. Um, but let's say access remains, in summary, if I were to summarize this, access remains an issue the cleanliness has dramatically improved, but we still need access for continued like ease for the rodent treatment to happen. Because right now, rodent treatment requires coordination, either going through one of the business owners or through the one neighbor on the street who does have access. Um,
So, so the plan B that you and I discussed about the fire marshal, I have to enact that. Am I correct? Apparently.
that that would be great if you're able. So we did, the fire marshal came, but my neighbor never was able to get the ticket.
Yeah, I'm. So it's plan B. Okay. Thank you.
And Stephen, there was this outstanding question with respect to the new gentleman working for the mayor's office.
Mhm.
You may recall his name has interjected
Andrew.
in. What Michael? Maybe is
And
that the
Andrew,
name?
Shapiro.
Andrew,
And
Andrew.
Shapiro. Andrew
Yeah,
Shapiro.
Shapiro. And so there's an outstanding question regarding the creation of a task force
Yeah.
that would resolve all of the questions around the perimeter regarding who should be at the table, how often, and progress, you know? And so
Yeah.
I think that question remains, and I think it would be helpful if we followed up with Mr. Shapiro on the task force.
Yeah. I think he was
No,
kind of
the
putting,
problem is, Frank, is that we have a lot of table talk but no
I'm hearing
action.
some
And
beeping. Is that
that's what
me?
has been going on
Some
for the
beepings going
past 10
on.
to
Miss
15
Call.
years.
Some beepings happening.
That's my alarm telling me it's time for me to get off the phone. But I can't stop it. The I wish I could. But there the fire
Okay.
the problem is we've had a lot of talk, and the goal is to try to stop all the talking, get some action done, and we do have an action plan and that we have to go to the next level. And that's where Alex and I had, when we had started this discussion, even to get to the point where we are, to get some cleanliness done, which has taken place, and people are really interested and energized. But we don't want to keep getting a group of people together that just wants to talk, which is what has happened for the past 11 years, and the same parties still want to talk. And so what we're
It's
trying
been
to do
more
is
like
get out of
15
that.
or it's been more like 15 or 20 years, but the
Right,
issue
but
is
we want to get
this,
out of that
that
loop,
that there's some deliverables required from government. And
which is
and
part of our plan B, Frank. And it's actually, we actually have an action item list that we are checking off stuff. And I just want to make sure, what I asked at the feedback from Alex is to see, based off of our discussions that we had, some of the stuff has already transpired, which those action items have been checked off the list. Now we're at the point where we have to escalate certain things, and so that's where we're at. And it's not for people to sit around and talk about it. It's some real true action items.
Okay.
again, there's no paid leadership for this group, and that I think that we talked about it at the on-site meeting. And it was under discussion that we would set a task force that could help, pinpoint and focus our government on this issue. So that's an outstanding issue that I'm raising for you, Stephen. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a note to, yeah, email out about task force again, and hopefully we could all work together. We could all like attack things from different angles. That's I think that's a good idea. Um, okay, good. The next thing is oh, Francois has raised his hand. We got a commissioner here. Commissioner Barrio, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. Thanks, Stephen. I have to leave soon, unfortunately, but I'm listening into the meeting. And, I'm not as up to speed, I would say, as you and some others on the call about what's been happening with the alley, though I have participated in some of the walkthroughs and the work we've been doing. I guess I would just say I do think it would be really helpful. You know, while I love the idea of a task force, I think that we need a specific list of requests of things from the city to continue to beat the drum. I'm still kind of unclear. I know that access is the ideal situation here, but there was talk of a dumpster being provided. Alex Padro had mentioned something about this, that Shaw Main Streets was maybe working on this as well. So I guess I would just say if we're going to have more meetings about, this topic, like I would really love to have a list of things so that whenever I'm in a room with someone from the city who can make a difference here, I can tell them specifically, look, this is the solution we want. This is what we need in this area right now. So that was just my one comment. But would love to chat more after the call to make sure I'm fully updated on the latest progress we've made on, you know, cleaning up that alley and dealing with the trash situation in the area.
That sounds good. Yeah, definitely. We'll we'll make a note to include you as well. Let's but yeah, let's maybe convene on email. Let's maybe open up just like an email thread to try and keep the conversation going so we can try to pinpoint like if there are specific things to ask for here, we can do so because I think that would be helpful. I think we're like little nebulous right now with like what we're trying to pinpoint. So, um, yeah, I've been meaning to send out an email like with the people we least met with in February, and maybe we can add some of the other folks and just try and see if we can just get more maybe emailing discussion, and then kind of if there's specific things we can ask, that would be great to do. Okay, cool. All right. Active protests. That's our next item. Many active protests are still in the works. Oh, I had this other idea for organizing a business letter. This is kind of off the books. We can talk about that offline if you're interested. I don't think I'm gonna disclose that now, but we have a lot of active protests in the works. The tracking sheet is available on our website if there is like a specific place we're currently protesting, please, and you have like testimony or something in regards to it, or renewals coming up, please let us know, or something, or things you want to specifically add to a settlement agreement, please be vocal. Um, okay. Number 8, great weight status. Frank, this was something that you raised. Um, Regarding the great weight status. Basically, yeah, and I learned myself that our process for resolutions is, yeah, we just kind of post them to the website, and then there is an online portal for ANCs to post their resolutions to. Let me put that in the chat for people to look at and understand. Um, okay. Thanks, Alex. And yeah, we'll follow up with the 9.5 alley thing and things like that. Thanks for joining us. Um, Here we go. Here. So this is where at least one of our resolutions is. Um, Can I just post it everywhere? I can post it everywhere, right? Here. Resolutions. So there's like this online portal, but it's again, it just kind of goes to another website. So it's really on us to kind of follow up with the resolutions. And so I followed up with Musali directly about the our late night resolution, asking him for uh receipt and for a response. So that's an update with that.
Like to touch on that, if you would, Stephen. You know what? Well, it's all good and well to get it to the director. All right, the director doesn't set policy or rulings from the agency. So the people that promote policy and the rulings are the board. So this should go to the board, and I think that I mean, I'd ask that you lift it to the board by directing it to the board chair, who's Donovan Anderson, and send it copied to the general counsel, who it goes to the attention of. So it really goes to the general counsel's email, but it's to the attention of the board. And the board should ask, we should ask the board, this is the ANC asking the board for a review at their regular business meeting. That way, this board, who rules too often against this community, too often not considering this community, understands that there's an issue and that they should review this resolution. And we want to hear from them. So we'd like them to review it at a meeting. And so that's sort of an understanding by you sending it to the board, to the attention of Donovan Anderson, the chair, copying the general counsel, that it will go before the board at a business meeting, and they'll take it under advisement and decide if they need to take any further action. But at least they know about 1B's dilemma. Deep dilemma. We have a lot of dilemmas that this board doesn't hear, but at least they're hearing from us. And I sit here every month for the last 7 years to be heard. All right. And for my community members and for my neighbors to be heard. And it's very hard. And this board acts against us.
Yeah.
All right. And so I would like and ask that we can work offline, if you would just agree that we can raise it to the policy level of the board for their review. That would, I would concede. Yes.
I would definitely agree to work offline.
Yep.
I think, I'm not sure how the board works, but I do think they follow certain almost legal procedures in a way where I don't know if, you can't just raise a new business item of an ANC resolution to come across there.
You can, because anytime you want to weigh in to the board, you send it to their attention and they address it at a board meeting. And that's what the expectation is when you weigh in on issues regarding ABCA. And I've done it several times.
Okay. Well, definitely would like to work offline about this. Email Musali, I think on maybe, was it Monday or it was like Tuesday morning or something like that. So still haven't heard back from him, but just sent about 24 hours ago. So would like to give him some time to respond back to and see what he says. But yet like to work offline on that. But thanks for following up on it, Frank. I think that's really helpful.
If I could, though, I also sent this committee a copy that I sent to the commission. I sent it to the full commission regarding great weight and my concern that we're not getting great weight. All right, and you were copied on the issue as an ANC commissioner, but I copied this entire committee on asking for great weight. And we don't just sit around and make resolutions that then are filed on the website. That's not great weight. That's talking a lot. And I'm here to take some action and to be a community member that is heard, and that we are acting under the guise as advisement to the ANC to gain great weight. We don't just sit here to talk about issues, even though it's wonderful and beautiful and we can all learn a little. We want great weight. And so, and especially ABCA is a defined entity in the great weight standard in the courts, especially, but also the OAG review. It's defined in the statute authorizing ANC commissions that great weight is given to certain committees or certain agencies, including ABCA, including the zoning commission and the zoning board. But we get great weight there. So that means we get to be heard in response in writing, and we're not just filing it to the website and that we walk away saying we did our job. So Thank you for that. And I needed to convey that to my committee members because they're copied, and I got a response from the commission, your commission, on this, but I'm not going to send it because I have one more question to the full commission on obtaining great weight. So thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for raising this. I honestly learned a lot from this, so that's really helpful. Okay.
Chair,
yes.
in regards to the graveyard that the resolutions go to after we write them up, I mentioned this before, that there needs to be a tracking system, and I have a lot of other community members who have also said that they wonder what happens after we put in a lot of work to draft a resolution and where's clauses, and then next thing you know, it goes through the whole resolution process with ANC, and then it sits on the digital dust shelf of um the
Fair.
ANC
Fair.
1B
Yeah.
site. So the question would be, um, if and when will the tracking system to let us know what how the resolutions are processed after they are finished with the votes that goes through the commission's meetings. After we do the work here, we bring it in, and then it's done, and then I think I mentioned this in several of the other committee meetings, just to
Mhm.
sort of get a good tracking. And so this coming up in this particular meeting, I'm sure it's not a new thing, but I'm sure it's been discussed probably in your with amongst the other commissioners. But I certainly want to make sure that I vocalize that point as well.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Ms. Gall. Yeah, I think that's great. Definitely something to follow up. I think it's on the onus is on us to follow up on it. But it's important.
I
Always follow
appreciate it.
up.
Thank you.
Okay. I think the goal is going to really wrap up by 9. We got a couple last minute items here. Transmittal sheet, I attached that with the agenda. Let's return to that when we do our more ABCR guide. Safekeeping, I'm not sure what the item is there. Maybe going to take that off the item. It's an interesting point. Okay, Frank, are you ready to discuss? There's a street fight video, property value, and or how about Ms. Lou?
Yeah,
Does Ms. Lou want to discuss property values?
that would be good. Well, I'd like to introduce the topic real quick because she and I have been working together on an ANC protest, one of the protests on 9th Street. And it has to do with our approval of the 7 appropriateness standards, all right, at our review here at the committee. And you and I have chatted about this, and that was the transmission sheet that you referenced, Stephen, a
Hmm.
few minutes ago. The transmission sheet only includes the peace, order, quiet standard. Okay. So that limits what can happen at a protest hearing if we end up on the final date at a protest hearing. Right. And that limits what we submit in the PIF 7 days before a protest hearing deadline. Okay. So if we don't protest on all the appropriate grounds, then we lose all the rights. And what we've done is we've left off recently the harm and the adverse impact to property values, which is an articulated one of the 7 appropriateness standards. And so when we didn't find out that it exists until after our protest petition, which is what we approve here or recommend here for approval to the board, or excuse me, the commission sends the approval over to ABCA after they agree with us or not, right?
Mhm.
And they say, here's our protest, and it's based on peace, order, quiet. Well, if we don't have all 7 check marks in that protest, then we leave out the possibility we might find out that there's 3 more appropriateness standards that we find evidence of.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think that's why we always say all applicable grounds. I don't really know how much that the transmittal sheet is viewed as this like all or nothing thing. I think it's
Well,
kind of
well, it's
like
it's the
generic.
it's the motion. It's the motion, and the motion is transmitted in that transmittal,
Yeah.
right? So we're basically backing up the motion to mean one phrase, peace, order, quiet, not the 6 others. And so that's a problem for folks in the moratorium area. And within the 600 feet from the one lot in the 1900 block of 9th Street, where the moratorium exists, we've seen some property value depreciation. People have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because they can't sell, can't rent their unit. And so I invited to the table today Zoe to make a few comments on this because luckily she is representing a protest of 5 or more in conjunction with the ANC on one of our protests. So she's preserved the right because she's bringing it to the table. Okay. But we might not have known that was a problem and so that's why I'm saying we should preserve our rights. And for the association has also commented on this, that we should preserve our rights because we don't know exactly all of the facts that might come out before we enter a protest hearing. So I'm giving that background to present or to defer back to Zoe here. So thank you for hearing me on this as a setup.
Thank you, Frank. Um, Miss Lou, you are able to speak.
Sure, thank you. No, so good evening. Thank you, Commissioner. Also, hello to Karen, because I always say hi to you specifically during these calls. Um, but that's not to
Hi,
not
Zoe.
like everybody else. So I just can't tell who else is on this. No, so I think Frank has given great background. I I'll be upfront. I'm not fully clear on the terminology that you use, like what transmission, et cetera, like what this means. And you don't have to give me that definition right now. But from what I'm hearing from these meetings that I kind of sporadically join, it sounds like this ABR committee has sort of moved towards this like point of like, you're starting to standardize some of your like the language that you use, like you're producing these resolutions, which is great. And I hope they get elevated and don't like sit in like a black box. Um, and I wasn't aware that the ANC website had this protest tracker, and it's good to see that because the protest process itself is so judicious and burdensome and time consuming, and frankly, like, a regular resident doesn't necessarily have the expertise and know-how on how to tackle this. So I'm glad to see that's in existence. And I think the point that I want to drive here is that I know a few years back, like one of my neighbors sat on this committee, and it was a very different iteration of this committee. Like I think it was a little bit less organized, a little bit less knowledgeable about how you tackle like these broader like approval or protest issues. But now that there's I think several years of just like I guess outcome. I'm sorry, I'm not the most coherent at night. Now that we're seeing like what the impacts of having um, certain tavern license approvals move forward, and then the moratorium in the North Shaw Zone passed. Um, like what I think linked to this like idea of like how you're tackling upcoming protests and existing protests is that there is now like tangible numbers around like adverse impacts to property values. And my broader frustration with APCA is that you have to try to speak to them in a way that they understand. And unfortunately, they tend to fixate on this peace order, whatever that appropriateness standard actually states. But I really do think that, especially for my neighbors and I who live in the moratorium zone and around it, you can start to actually present as evidence like what the adverse impacts are. And so I have compiled information. I don't think all of it will get used in the Cloud Lounge protest because they want us to stick to adverse impacts directly to our property because we do abut Cloud Lounge and we share this wall. But there is just broader evidence of the neighborhood of like how this is hurting people. And so if this, I mean, I would say that this file shouldn't live publicly, just because I think some of the information might be sensitive, but it is something I'm willing to share with the ANC if they want to keep updating it, because people are attempting to sell homes. In some ways, we're kind of trapped. Like we did purchase with great like low interest rates, but then for people who did want to turn over, just seeing how like the proliferation and over concentration of nightlife has like really just increased crime and trash. Like some of my neighbors have had to make like severe concessions with their tenants just to keep just to minimize like the turnover. And then as soon as they can, they would like to sell. And so it's not really our intent to like trap any owner. But when you're seeing like comparable properties across the street selling for like a 300K loss, like that's not something people could eat in the current economic climate. So I think it's really just to say like this appropriateness standards, I think you should consider keeping it explicitly, as well as calling out other ones like the moratorium or existence of a moratorium. I was told that was one of the reasons why the Unity Lounge protest did not go the way that they had envisioned. But just like trying to standardize the language, and then I'm sure you can also build a database of neighbors that you could draw on to like to testify in these protests because I will get random requests from Frank, and then it's just trying to trouble or to pinpoint who is the most appropriate neighbor to testify because
Mhm.
I couldn't participate in that Unity Lounge because that's not really on my block, and so I don't have like direct experience, but like I was able to present a gentleman who could. So that's just I think really just my point of like you guys are doing great work, and I've seen the progress, and I think like what Frank is saying, like keep pushing the envelope, and I think this is one that you can keep pushing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Zoe. Yes. Please feel free. Please keep attending. Um, and also please coordinate with us on email. You have my email, so I chair this committee, and then we also have another commissioner who's kind of been the big hands on the on the bigger protest. Our secretary, Commissioner Fay's taken on a lot of those roles for the more of the involved protests where they really go to the hearing ones, and so he might be another person to reach out to if to help kind of if you know of if or if you know here that one is going to a protest hearing or something that presenting coordinating with him on if you know like, as you said the residents and things like that myself as well but those would be a good means. I think we would love that information as we're kind of working on these issues.
Yeah, no, I know
Good.
Commissioner Fay very well. I think because my understanding is that like the ABCA board is undersensitized to this argument about adverse impacts of property values. And I think I don't know, there's something about an omnibus coming forward. I don't understand the timeline. I think that they still kind of operate in silo, but I think this is like an area where, especially with the just like the what ANC one covers, like this is a unique opportunity to keep pushing that specific appropriateness standards just to get them used to it. Whether they do anything with it is another matter, but I think just it has to be like it can't be something that just kind of gets pushed aside. It should be something that where when possible it's raised, and definitely for a lot of the residents in, like with, I think, unfortunately, a lot of the lounges in the moratorium zone had their, I think a lot of their renewals came up around the same time. So maybe some of that has passed, but I think for ones that are active, like Cloud, we're coming up upon that protest in May. But I don't know what other lounges have a hearing coming up, but it's definitely one where if the ANC is involved, they should definitely keep pushing it. I just don't have the physical time and resources to track everyone, like, and neither do my neighbors. Like we did have this ambitious plan that we were going to fight everything, but then we decided to focus on Cloud because that actually abuts our property. We can make a stronger case. Um,
Yeah,
so
a lot of it's hinging on cloud, so that's good.
yeah, but so I think that was just kind of my point. Like I see you guys moving towards a like the standardization, keeping templates together, keeping some sort of database. And it's really just like, like happy to contribute to that and like keep updating it. But it's hard for me individually to stay on top of it as well.
For sure. Okay. Well, thank you for being here, Zoe.
Stephen, I just have one more comment in support of Zoe's comments and my prior comments regarding adverse impact to property values. And she's mentioned the rental problem, right? So folks that had to move and can't sell their unit have to rent their unit, but within and they sort of having a hard time renting the units. Okay, in this block, right?
Yeah.
So there's a sort of non-seen adverse impact to property value there. But then further within that category of rentals, there's people in a set of buildings that are breaking the lease a couple months in because it's so bad. So that is a deep, determinant of property value as a adverse impact. So and right next to Soest, there's a 2-unit building. A poor gentleman bought this building. He lived in a unit for a year and then he went overseas. All right, as a foreign service officer. All right, he's struggling to maintain employees there because we can't get Soest operating properly. Right, because it's on our back to make Soest a better operator. Okay, it's on our back, my back, your back, the committee members' back, the ANC's back, because it's our job to make sure that we have nightlife balance with residences. And it's very unfair to this owner that bought this unit, owned it, lived there, and he can't keep a tenant because right next door was allowed to have 400 people stand outside all night, scream outside of his windows, even though he has three pane windows. Not a lot of buildings have three pane windows here in the
Yeah,
city.
hear you.
So,
Okay,
so,
that's a good.
so
Yeah,
just wanted to, further the point of adverse property values and the duty we have to improve this. So, thank you.
thank you, thank you. Windrad, hello.
Hello. Uh, Sorry, this is my second meeting joining, and then I'm a business owner around the area. I am actually learning, with the concern and the issues and all of these things that happening around our community. I suggest I could be wrong. Like I say, I'm still young and still trying to understand what the issue is. I think it should be maybe like ANC 1B and APCA should have some kind of like educate business owner, identifying the challenges and maybe show them what the root cause of the issue that we are facing. So that way we can, instead of, how would I say this in a nice way? Instead of uh, we going around it so that way the trash issue, the noise complaints, and all that stuff, these are things that I feel like we can educate while we protesting and making, the changes. I think we can teach business owners. Maybe we can invite all the business owner around in one of these restaurant or lounge, wherever allows us to do it. Or I'm willing to do it, host it in my establishment, and then have everybody like communicate and then show them, yo, this is the problem. The trash is the problem. The graffiti is the problem. The noise complaints are the problem. How can we improve ourselves as a community without, getting into making it a bigger problem? So that way, like myself, I never understood this was the problem until I joined last month for ANC
Mhm.
1B meeting.
Thank you.
I've I've never been in one of these meetings, but from now on, I'm willing to join. I'm willing to understand. I'm willing to hear what the problem is, so that way we can educate these business owners, so that way they can understand it. Not everybody live around this neighborhood, so they don't necessarily join a meeting or understand what the problem is.
Yeah, for sure. And Windrad, remind us where you are coming from again.
Yeah, I'm coming from Teacher Lounge. I believe I
Chicha,
have,
that's right. Okay.
yes, I believe, well, I was working with the old owner. And then until last month, we haven't separated our own way. They was the one that's supposed to be in the meeting and understand. I started from bar backing from the old teacher. And then I moved into the new one, and now I'm the owner of it. But I never understood what the problem or what the issue was until last month. Somebody else explained it to me. Yo, please join the NT1B meeting and then the APCA meeting, so that way you can understand what they're saying about, Chicha or the business around us. So that way you can see what the problem is. And then I joined last month and I got some knowledge. And then today I was just sitting trying to understand what is the problem is. And then yeah, it makes sense what everybody's saying. The problem is
Yeah.
there, but then the fix sometimes come from teaching the business owners, this is where you're messing up, and then let's fix this. How can we fix this? They usually don't necessarily pay attention to the problem because the business is slow, everybody else is kind of struggling, and people are moving around in different things. We work nightlife sometimes, we might not be
Yeah.
able to join the meeting. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I
for this
appreciate you so
issue,
much.
for this issue, I would host. I would get the food and the drink and everything else at my own cost. If we can gather everybody else that has this kind of issue to come in together and say, this is the issue. How can we resolve it?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm gonna keep talking this, but we have Miss Gall has she got her hand up, and I think she has to leave soon. So Miss Gall.
Yes, it's actually it's pertaining. It's within contact what Mr. Adain has said. Because what I did was we went around We went around to each one of the businesses and we passed out information, letting them know how they can tap in and be educated about what's going on. And I do understand, and I explained to a lot of the business owners, and I know that it has been bringing a lot of the people into the meeting, but I did explain to the business owners that because of your business is affected by ANC level work, and you need to come to these meetings. You need to show up at these meetings for the committees as well as the commission meetings and be involved, and then also the 3D CAC meetings, because when people talk about public safety, you need to talk to the police and find out what's the problem. If they're talking about these issues that we're talking about, the licensing, you need to come to these meetings. And it's not an excuse, because I know it's been around for a long time, because you have to go through the channels and you have to get approval from the ANC in order to get your licensing, et cetera, et cetera. So, but it's something about being consistent. So I commend Mr. Adan for coming in, but I certainly think that with the community engagement committee that we have with the ANC, I think we should publicize this effort a little bit more. And I just want to thank you, Stephen, for allowing me to speak. And I'm going to say good night. Thank you.
Anytime. Yeah. Thanks for coming, Miss Gall. It's great to see you as always. And see you next time, or see you at the commission meeting.
Yes, sir. Bye bye.
Good night. Good night. And thank you again, Wenjad. And correct me if you're
Yes,
pronouncing it
sir.
wrong. And the other, yeah, please keep coming back to the meeting. And then also, if you would, also, Wenjad, if you would like to potentially, please you reach out to me, or our website. If you would like to be a committee member yourself, we have other we have other, we welcome business owners to be committee members. So I think it adds
I
a
would
really
love to. I live
interesting
on the corner
perspective.
too.
Okay, okay. That could be good. That could be good. Okay. Well, let us know and stuff like that, and hopefully hear from you soon and stuff like that. I think it could be helpful. Yeah.
Can you put your email down for me so I can
Yes.
contact you, if you
Okay,
don't
sure.
mind? Thank
Yes.
you. I appreciate you. Sorry to interrupt again.
No worries. Okay. And
Steve,
then
I'm ready whenever you are on the new piece of business regarding the fight, the 1900 block of 9th Street.
okay. Yes. All right. So yeah, I think we talked the party values was really helpful. Wendra, thank you so much for being here. Reach out to me via email and we can discuss if you want to give me a member, but thank you for being here and we'll continue to come back. Okay, yeah. Frank, you were talking about the,
Appreciate you.
the street fight. Yes.
So, just to be clear, there's a complex matter going on in our nightlife district. We don't have any nightlife management. We have police and we have DDOT coming out, closing some streets, and that's about it. Do you know that this commission are the only people that can put forward a nightlife district that can tell DDOT, you don't just stand there, you have to direct traffic. They closed down the 1900 block of 9th Street every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They stand there while traffic is beeping at a standstill. And it's our job, because there is no nightlife capability management in this district, to manage DDOT, to teach them that they need to manage the traffic because they stand there. So why is that our job? Well, it shouldn't be our job, but there's no other place to get this done. And so we don't have a bid, we don't have a nightlife management entity, and so it's the ANC's job basically. And so are you going to tell me my community that's not getting the services, that has all of these problems because of the over concentration in the 1900 block of 9th Street, and we have to shut down that street because of that, that all of the detour traffic beeping up and down T Street, the 900 block of T Street, the 800 block of T Street, the 1800 block of 9th Street. So it's our job to put up with all the beeping cars because there's no traffic management and there's no management of this nightlife. So the point
Okay.
being
What are you
here,
asking here, Frank?
you're right. Let me get to the point. The point is that I would like a letter drafted asking the board to pay attention to over concentration and the factors that are involved with that. in that when they make decisions that they take the moratorium in consideration because it's out of control. Who should be coming to my neighbor's house, Stephen, and getting those people that think they can sit on the stoop all night at 3 in the morning? Who should do that? Okay, so it's over concentration and it's a lack of city planning and it's a lack of this ANC over 30 years to manage this problem. So it's sitting on my neighbors' backs. Okay, and so therefore I need more great weight because ABCA is one of the agencies where this ANC gets great weight. And so I will be coming back to the table asking for additional letter to the ABCA board for their policy review, asking them to take further considerations of the moratorium and all of the problems that when they expand to 6 a.m. operating hours, when they expand the occupancy, when they expand whatever they're expanding in the moratorium zone, it's against the moratorium zone and it's not resolving the problems that we set out to undertake to resolve. So I wanted to get that point out. Everybody has the video to see the fight. Those fights go on every weekend in front of Nellie's at Ninth and U. Those aren't recorded, and I don't send them all to you, but I should. I should send them all to you and the entire ANC. But it's out of control and we need more effort. So, and I appreciate what you're doing here, coming every month and listening and at least understanding the depth of the problem. And then also those some solutions, which are getting better great weight from this board that is disrespecting the community. And you find it to be funny, or because I'm repeating myself, but we're not getting it and they're not listening. And we need to figure out how to get them to listen under great weight. So thank you for that.
Um, Thank you, Frank. Yes. If there is, maybe we could circle back on next month about if there's like a letter or some like specific ask for DDOT or something regarding some of this traffic management. That might be that might be helpful as well. But I do appreciate you and uh, concerns, and yeah, we're here to try and help. Learning a lot here. But I think we are getting a little better, and so I appreciate that comment. Thanks. Zoe.
Yeah, so I think kind of a related question I had because I mean like Frank is bringing up a lot of concerns that like this is ongoing like it's um but I think like ultimately it circles back to maybe our council member Nadeau and this is where I'm not really clear like what happens because I know like Nadeau over like chairs some sort of oversight committee that would actually I think has some sort of oversight into key agencies like DPW is one as I'm hearing about these like alley walks. Another one that I've been like pushing Francois on is like public safety because I think that's his committee, but and that's like the issue that impacts my alley, which is not the 9.5 Street alley, but the one that sits between 8th and 9th, and like the Shea also overlooks it. And we also have a lot of DPW issues. Like they're specifically coming after my building, and it's getting kind of weird. But we also push like MPD's like nightlife task force on this crime issue. But it just seems like, like WNA did a great job of, pushing and passing the moratorium. And then, but then, like the ANC then has like this, like its own task of like, like we'll support or like protest like certain license renewals. But at what point is it like above your head? And, like, and is it, and this is like, I think your conversation for next month maybe, but like, when does the council member get involved? And I think it's complicated by the fact that Nadeau is leaving and we don't know who her successor is. But it seems like some of these issues are just like kind of reaching a point. Like if this has been going on for several years, but hasn't gone anywhere, is that something she has to be pushed on? And is that something that like your committee would have to like formally request support on? Because I write to her separately for other things and she does respond to me. So I try to keep my ass like, within a certain narrow lane. And then I know there's other people that like I've talked to about in the past, like frustrations with ABCA. and they've since risen
Yeah.
in, like their stature. But like, it's like, where does this go, and how do you centralize this?
Toby, you're going to run for council person. We're going to get you in there, and you are going to change Ninth Street for the better and make it a better place. No, I mean there's a lot of this I'm being sarcastic, I'm getting a little tired. And there's a lot of things that go on, we can all only everyone can only do so much. I mean, the police are there and they're kind of the ultimate force in a way. But yeah, I mean, reality is like, U Street, this is like a nightlife district, like a lot of people come here to go out and stuff, and it's just it is a slightly unmanageable. It's just like it's almost the nature of what it is. The doe can has resources and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I think drawing attention to things and crime and noise, but I think working on like specific things and specific attainable stuff, like step by step, is really the best way to go about it. Like being like, it's a whole thing is messed up. It's like we're not going to get anywhere. But if we attend the meetings and we work in the steps, then we get better. Rachel, I see your hands up. I would like to move to the new business section because we have two things to
I
review.
need to interject because I am actually a little bit insulted by the dismissal of these complaints as being part of a nightlife district, because there is no other city that I have lived in that has been unable to manage these issues. And I found that comment super dismissive, and I just want to acknowledge that for the record.
I'm sorry. I should be a little bit more, sensitive.
You're on record and being recorded, and these conversations do have great weight.
The conversation is a great way. There's great way going around. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what to say. I should be more sensitive. I know these are for those folks who live
There's
immediately adjacent. I do think
something to
there's
say for silence sometimes, or a
okay.
lesser comment.
Okay. Okay. Um, moving along. We have two new placards. One is a streetery endorsement for Service Bar, 926 U Street Northwest. This is a streetery um, endorsement for Service Bar. Um, they are requesting a streetery endorsement, 28 seats. There's an existing settlement agreement there. Um, we already have a settlement agreement with them. I think they're a good actor. I don't think there's anything to change here. I wouldn't recommend a protest.
I have an issue regarding their extended hours. I believe they want till like 2 or 3 in their outside, and there's an adjacent condominium building right there. And I don't know if they've weighed in on this, but I think it's contrary to discussions we've had about setbacks on outside operating hours, such as 10 and 11, a weekday, weekend, respectively. And so I think that would hold here. So we want to protest on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet to discuss these hours with them in that space.
Hmm. Um, I believe they're probably operating like this already and existing. They probably already go until 2 and 3 a.m. Um, so I don't, I mean,
Probably, or do you know? Because if you're not sure, then a protest is appropriate to have the conversations to clarify this so that we're not just writing it off and then creating a problem for the people who live in those buildings.
right. Well, do we know anyone? Well, look, it's only so much we can do, guys. All right, give us a break. So, Francois, he's the commissioner. Is he on the meeting right now? He's not. So I don't know anyone who he does. Does he know anyone? I mean, does anyone? Feel
Yeah,
free to
I
jump
know
in.
people in that I know people in that building, and
Okay.
so I'd like to motion a protest on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet. And though I'm being contrary to my comments earlier, I think we should protest on all grounds in case there's other issues that that we learn about during the protest process or that remain open. However, I'm going to reduce it back down because I don't think that's a resolved issue here as our operating procedure to protest on all the grounds so we maintain our rights and as we learn that process. But again, I'll defer to my motion. I'll repeat it. Motion to protest on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet. And then my side note is based on their operating hours outside.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Oh, I don't want to do that.
Do we still have quorum right now? That's the other question.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think we
No.
do.
Okay. Because I see Zoe and Wendred in the room. Okay, there we go.
If Bob's still with us.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
still here.
Bob, hanging in there. How are you doing, Bob?
I'm all right. Learning a lot.
I can't remove Miss Gall, but she's here. Okay. And Steven is in and out. Okay. All in favor of supporting Frank's motion, please raise your Zoom hands. All right, the motion passes.
And just iterating, they're even though they're operating till 3 a.m., they were given this space with no rules for free for the last 5 years, right?
Right. But
Treaties.
I'm saying that that might give testimony to the fact that is there any, major complaints that have come? If there are, we were kind of conjecturing that, oh, we know people, there's an apartment building next door, but have we heard any, major complaints that are happening regarding their operations over the last 5 years in that space in the way they're doing it now? That's all I'm saying.
Right. But it's also what do we want our streets to look like? And there was a comment earlier that streeteries are only coming for restaurants, right? This is a tavern, right? So it's not a restaurant. And so therefore they're not going away at 10, 11, or 12 after dinner service. They're hanging out there. And so is that what we want the Olive View Street to be a hangout at 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the morning because we're now extending hours too. So I think these are all worthy of discussion.
Well, U Street, I mean, not to be dismissive, but U Street is a hangout at 2 a.m. and at 3 a.m. in the morning. It just is. I don't mean to be dismissive of that, but that is just a fact. Um, but the motion was passed. Okay, the next one, substantial change. For spicy water, which is going from a class D license to a class C license. I looked this up. I know what this means. It means I can sell spirits.
So it's still a restaurant and not a tavern? I think they're going from restaurant to tavern.
Uh, no, it says retailer's class D restaurant to a retailer class C restaurant.
Oh, okay. Then I stand corrected. Not a tavern. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is actually a pretty good spot for food if anyone ever goes to it. Oh, I think their owner is here. Oh my God. Hi, Doreen Kwasi. Are you from Spicy Water? We might have lost them.
I think that is the owner, and I think he's fallen asleep.
Or we might have lost. I mean, we got a little late, and he wanted to join early, and I also started meeting late. So, thank you for being here. But yeah, it's still a restaurant. It just simply means on the APCO website they can sell spirits, and they can sell spirits. Um, Yeah, we don't have a settlement agreement with them. This may be a good time to get one. At the same time, it might be a good time to get one. There might be some trash issues or something there.
Even if there's
Uh,
not, that's good to just have a settlement agreement.
yeah, it would be good. All right. Well, is there any motion? I'll motion to protest on grounds of peace order, or for peace order quiet in all applicable grounds to try and get a settlement agreement with the goal of getting a settlement agreement. With spicy water.
A
Yeah.
second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion to protest, please raise your hands, Zoom hands. That's one, two, three, four. Okay, the motion passes. Great. Okay, that I think it concludes our agenda. A lot of follow-ups here, especially on like our working documents. I really thought that section was really good, meaning I felt like it was very productive. I feel like we're working on these kind of policy, these more specific policy things, which I think are really that's the kind of the way to make change. And I think we're coming together and collaborating well on that. And that seems really that feels really good and productive, and everyone's kind of contributing, and I really like that. So thank you all for that. Um, yeah. Does anyone have other final concluding comments or anything? If not, Wendred is back. Wendred.
Sorry, just a question. I wonder if I can contact Frank too, so that way, I feel like I can learn a lot from him.
Frank, are you willing to
Frank,
share
is that
your
okay?
email?
Or I can send you mine, or I could just give you my phone number right here.
Frank might be offline. When you if you put your email in, I'll text it over to him.
Sure. Or may I get yours so we can discuss all of
Yeah.
us, please.
Windred, are you the current owner of Chicho Lounge, the new one, or where it is now currently?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You know what might be easier? You have Steven's email address. Email
Hmm.
Steven and ask to be connected to the members of the committee that you want to be connected to. And then Steven he has permission to share my email, and I'm sure Frank would probably.
Sorry. Again, Frank, is that you?
I
Frank
don't,
did put it. Frank, he looks like he did a host and panelist. Yeah. This is his email though. You also can email me as Rachel said.
Oh, okay.
Here.
Great.
Oh shoot, it's FJ. I missed the first
It's
letter.
That's fine. I'll correct it. FJ, right? FJ99.
FJC.
FJC. Okay, great. I'm gonna
Okay.
screenshot it.
All right.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks. All
There you
right.
go.
Thanks everyone. Commission meeting soon. Typing up minutes. See you guys in April. Cherry blossom season. Thanks for being with us.
good luck with your training.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steven.
All right. Good night.
Thank you,
Good, Bob.
Steven. Good night.
Thanks for bearing this too, Bob. All right. Good night.